Hello and welcome to the American Roulette podcast. I'm Matthew Best, one of the authors of American Roulette. American Roulette is a novel about a mass shooting, and it tracks the over the course of a day, eight different characters and their lives until the event happens. And the focus is really on the humanity in all of this. We are here to have a wonderful conversation, and I am thrilled to be joined by Pat LaMarche, one of our other authors. Pat, how's it going?
Hey there, Matthew. I'm doing great. I was driving through Ohio and I thought, gee, I better get off the highway so we can have a little chat about American Roulette. And we're joined today by our really wonderful friend, Sherry Knowlton, who is also an author of American Roulette. Welcome to the show, Sherry.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we're going to take a little bit of time and just talk a little bit here with Sherry and kind of get some of her insight and her take on the book. Each of us as authors, we all wrote different characters. And so, Sherry, maybe you could share a little bit about the character that you wrote.
Sure. Um, as we were planning the book, each of us authors got to choose their own character, but we were aiming for a mix of people. So, it wasn't like eight suburban white women go to the mall or wherever during the book. But I had a sort of a unique challenge because I chose, although I did this deliberately, I chose to write a guy, a man who's just retired, a supervisor at a factory. His name is Earl. And I thought that it would be nice to have that type of person be part of the book. Um, Earl is a little bit of a good old boy, but one of the reasons I chose to write this type of character is because Earl reflects so many people that I've known, first of all, in my life. From some members of my family, like my grandmother's family, who were farmers. uh, my husband uh, was the manager in a factory for many, many years. So a lot of Earl's characteristics came from many of the people that I met who worked with my husband all those years. And my neighbors. I live in rural Pennsylvania, out in the sticks, and a lot of my neighbors are Earl-like characters in real life.
One of the things I liked most about, so Matthew called me and said, I have this, or sent me an email, had a great idea for several books. This was the one that really hit me. And so Matthew said he wanted to write this book. And I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if you want to do persons, personalities and differences in humanity? Wouldn't it be cool if we actually had different people writing the different voices? And you were the first phone call I made. You're also the most experienced author of the 10 of us, or however many there are. You're the probably the most widely published. You're the street cred of the book. Maybe we should put it that way. And what I thought was really exciting for me, there were two things. One was that you instantly said yes. So I thought, okay, this is as good an idea as I think it is, because I needed that validation. Um, and then the second thing was how absolutely certain, right from the get go, of what you wanted to write, who you wanted to be. And, there wasn't a, oh, well, maybe I do want to be a little school teacher from, Poughkeepsie. You were just completely, you knew Earl Bricker was your man and you became him early on. Is that how it is with all your writing? Do you go into it like boom?
Um, you know, I think a lot of it is, it's especially my first couple books. I knew like right away what I wanted to write, and what I usually write is suspense. I write something called the Alexa Williams suspense series, Dead of Autumn, Dead of Summer, lots of dead. Um, and and sometimes the books that I write are ideas that I've been carrying around for a long time. I'm not really 100% sure why I so instantly decided to write Earl. Maybe because it was a little bit of a stretch to write a man. Uh, he's not all that different in age of me, but a very different type of person than I am. And also, seeing as how this book deals with gun violence, I think I instantly thought, well, there's this trope out there about the good guy with the gun.
Right.
Um, and Earl, uh, as readers will find, is a good guy with a gun. I won't tell you more, but
Right.
he is a good guy with a gun.
Yeah.
You know,
And
when I see I'm sorry, when I see the new vice presidential candidate
Mm,
for the Democratic ticket, I kind of see Earl Bricker, right? Really
yeah,
nice fella, ordinary guy, likes to hunt.
yeah, uh-huh, yeah.
yeah, I was just
Earl
gonna,
might be a little bit bigger and burlier, but
there you
beyond
go,
that,
right?
that's like Earl in my mind. Yeah. Okay, sorry, Matthew,
That's
I
all right.
interrupted you.
No, that's all right. I was just gonna ask about, the sense of like, here's this character who is really kind of lovable, and people really like, you read about him, and I think one thing that we could probably share is about he's getting ready to make bird what are those bird feeders with the grandchildren, right? And it's just this kind of like, wow, that's like everybody's grandfather.
Yeah,
Right. It's what
yeah,
it kind of comes down to that. And I hear what you're saying about the inspiration for Earl kind of comes from various sections of your life. Um, and I think that's probably true for a lot of our characters in that. So I'm really kind of wondering about did when Pat had called you and said, "Hey, we got this idea," and there's this instant yes. Number one, like what was going through your mind um, with
what were you thinking?
what were you thinking? No, but what was going through your mind when Pat
Okay,
came to you
so
with this idea and did Earl come to mind like immediately with that this figure that you have described?
hmm I guess a couple of things. What first came to mind is, oh my, what's Pat dragging me into this time?
How much will this
Yeah,
cost?
yeah, Pat. And for those listeners out there, Pat and I are in a writers group that meets monthly and has done for years. So we know each other quite well. But I said yes immediately because the book was about gun violence, and to me, that is a major issue in the country that nobody can seem to find a solution to.
Yeah,
We've almost it out as a society, and I firmly believe that art and literature is an aspect of art can actually get to people and touch people in a way that sometimes reality can't, which is sort of weird, but true. Um, the other thing that appealed to me is I've never worked on a collaborative project like this. Um, and this isn't your typical anthology of a bunch of
right,
authors. This is a different approach in that it's a novel that we all wrote an essence together and wove our character stories together. And to answer your other question, though, no, I don't think I immediately thought about Earl like when I was on the phone with Pat the first time, but it didn't take me long. I think by the first meeting, I was like, oh, yeah, this is the type of character I want to write. I didn't know his name was Earl then, But yeah, I immediately thought, well, I want to do something different and not write about a 30-ish year old detective type lawyer who my Alexa Williams is, but somebody who's very different from that.
I have a quick question. So one of my favorite books written by someone who changes gender to write it is Dolores Claiborne, which is written by Stephen King. And
Mm-hmm.
it's written in a diary fashion, which is almost similar to what we have in this book, but it's all from Dolores's point of view. And I was stunned that a man could write a woman so well.
Mm-hmm.
And as a woman, I was probably more critical. I think I feel the same way about Earl. It's kind of stunning that a woman could write a man so well. Um, was that a challenge that intimidated you at all?
Um, I wasn't sure that I could pull it off. I will say, but I think I sort of did. I mean, one of the things I wanted to make sure of is, and I think most of the authors in the book probably had this goal, whether stated or subliminal. I didn't want to make him a stereotype,
Right.
so it wouldn't be a book of like, oh, let's get the this type of person and let's get the this type of person. I mean, we wanted to have diversity in the characters, but I also didn't want to make the Earl a cardboard cutout. So when I say good guy with a gun, Earl is so much more than that. And it just writing a character with only 10,000 words and conveying the aspects of them in the course of a day isn't necessarily that easy. But it came to me pretty naturally as I wrote about his day. I created his wife, who's a good foil to reveal aspects of his character, and they're in the mall shopping for a wedding dress, a mother of the bride dress, because their daughter is getting married. Um, I would say that, not to let you get too carried away with your praise, Pat, because the downside of 10,000 is that you can't really write too much about a person. But the upside is that I didn't have to write a man for more than one day. So would I have been able to sustain him for an entire novel? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Maybe that's a future project.
You know what else was interesting was as an observer in other people's writing process, which I also think, Matthew, was the really cool thing about this book for me anyway, is I do things as I'm writing a story that changes the story, but I've never been inside a story with other people doing the same thing. And so I remember the day. So we're all writing together. We're all doing Zooms. We're all talking to each other about our characters. We're reading each other our what we've got so far and throwing ideas at each other. And then all of a sudden we're on a Zoom and Sherry announces, "I'm giving him a dog." And he didn't have a dog. And so all of a sudden she gives her character a dog. And it was just brilliant because this guy's concern about his dog really deepened the dimensions of his personality. Don't you think, Matthew?
Oh
Really
yeah,
just
absolutely. Again, he became this grandfatherly figure of this and this was kind of the whole point of doing this book, is again to show the humanity of people. I mean, caring for an animal, it brings out the human side of us. That here's this animal that it really relies on in similar ways to like a baby,
Mhm.
relies on us, and we have a relationship that they can't really talk in the language, but they communicate. And there's this love and all these there's this humanness that happens in this.
yeah. And when Kirsty Nome wrote her book this past year and admitted that she murdered her dog, it gave you a whole window into that character. And I think by Sherry bringing the dog into the story, it was one of those, I only have 10,000 words. How am I going to show that he's a really decent guy?
Yeah.
We didn't know that all she had to do was not shoot him in a gravel pit. That the bar was that low.
Well, well, Sherry, I want to ask you, what was the most surprising thing for you in this process?
Of the process itself, not we're
Yeah.
moving away from Earl specifically.
Yeah.
Um, you know, I think the most surprising thing, or series of things, maybe, because I can never say just one thing, but is that a group of people, some of whom, like you and me, didn't really know each other when it started, but we managed to work so well together. Um, and at distances, like from Pennsylvania, one of our authors lives in Washington State, one of the participants in Florida. I mean, so we managed to work so well together. And for being, artsy type people, all who do some, different types of writing and other artistic endeavors. We didn't really let, have any temper tantrums or,
Right.
we had a few little things where we had to work around differences, but it was all done so professionally. And I think it was because everybody saw this as a cause, as well as a project, as an intriguing project, but also a cause, because, as you said earlier, we wanted to try to get the humanity of what happens, and that it's regular people who are the ones that we read about in the newspaper almost daily as the victims of gun violence. And they're real people. Now, our people aren't real people, but we wrote them so that a reader can relate to them, just as you do some of your favorite characters on a TV show or in novels that you read all the time.
Yeah. Pat, do you have any last questions for Sherry?
No, but I do want to say that we are taping this, so when you see it, it could be a couple of days later. And it was bizarro is maybe the wrong word to use, but it was very, very not surprising because mass shootings are so common. But this book came out within 24
Mm.
hours of the mass shooting in Lewiston, Maine. And the shooting took place in two places, a bowling alley and a bar room that had pool tables. And the man who owned that, it's called Smidgey's, was the name of the bar. He passed away today, 57 years old.
Oh, wow.
So you may see this a couple of days after his death. But today, the day that we're taping this 57-year-old man died. His bar never reopened after the tragedy. I just saw the story in the Lewiston Sun Journal this morning because, I'm from Maine and I've stayed connected to that community. That's where my kids were born. That's where my mom died of cancer, and the hospitals in that town. It's very important to me, that town. And God, I don't know why he died, but I can't imagine he didn't die with a broken heart that's just never healed since October, 25th or whenever that thing happened. And that was the point you were trying to make when you asked all of us to participate in this book. And I feel like our book is forever tied to Lewiston. It's forever tied to these other things. And if you get a chance to read the book, we'd love your feedback. You can give individual feedback about Sherry's Earl Bricker or about any of the other characters. And we just want to move the conversation so that we can talk about people like the poor 10 people that lost their lives at Smidgey's and what we need to do to go forward.
Yep. Sherry, any last thoughts?
No, I guess I would just say, to anybody who's listening to this, as Pat just said, give the book a try. It's it's gotten really, really good reviews. It also has gotten, I guess I would call it a sensitivity warning from a couple of people who were actually connected in one way or another with mass shootings. And they say that, if you've have a connection to a mass shooting, it may be a hard thing for you to read this book because it is in many ways very realistic. But for those of you who have no connection, and hopefully you never will, but the purpose of this book is to raise awareness. And also, it's a really good mystery sort of whodunit as we follow these characters through the day. And some of them aren't as nice people as the others. So we're encouraging you to read it, and we're also encouraging you to think about gun violence and ways to come to some solution for America. Thank you.
Yeah,
Any
thank you.
last thoughts from you, Matthew?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to both of you, first of all, and Sherry, especially for giving us a little bit of insight into Earl, and also your experience with the writing process. I think those are some great insights that I think people, they often wonder. I've been stopped on the street in Carlisle. People reckon, are like, "Oh, I read your book," and they'll ask like these type of questions to me. So I appreciate you taking some time to do that. And I just want to echo what both of you have said, that the point of this book is it's a tool for conversation. One of the things, and we have said this before, is that we don't offer answers in the book, and that's on purpose, so that it doesn't get put into oh, this is just a partisan argument or whatever. No, the point is we have a problem in our country, and we need to talk about it in a healthy way. And so this is what this book is really about. It's a tool to help people have conversations that are oftentimes too difficult to have. So I want to thank both of you for taking a little bit of time. We'll have more of these in the coming weeks and months with other authors as well. And you can find American Roulette in a variety of different places. Of course, you can find it on Amazon. And if you read it, please leave us a review. That helps us out to spread the word. And we always love to read the reviews anyway to see what people are thinking about it. But you can also go to AmericanRoulette.vip. We'll have all the links down underneath the video, so people can get those easy access to that. So with that, I want to thank both of you again for taking some time to have this conversation. And I hope everybody who's listening gets an opportunity to read the book. We'd love to hear your feedback. And if you've got an opportunity for a book discussion or some kind of presentation, we are certainly more than happy to participate in that. Whether that's in person or online or some other way, we're really open to having these conversations. That's the whole reason why we do it. So please reach out to us. We'll have an email also in the links down below. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day.